Alright guys, so now we're going to cover the font family group of classes. So the font family classes are mainly three. So we have the font sans, font serif and font mono. And you have these default presets that you can use, and of course you can use your custom ones if you want to, but these are ones that are already available with Tailwind CSS. To use fonts, for example, sans serif, you just have to do font sans as a class, and to use serif you just do font serif, and to use monospace you just do font mono, and that should apply those fonts. And we're going to cover the font size. It's very straightforward, as you can see from the class. So you have XS, which is extra small, you have SM, which is very small, which is small basically, and then you have base and you have large. As you go down, the font becomes bigger, and before you go down to usage, it shows this. So as we go down the classes, the fonts get bigger. And yeah, you can make it responsive as well by applying different fonts for different devices, for different screen devices here. So now we're going to cover the font weight. Again, it's very simple. As you can see from the classes, we have font thin, which gives it a font weight of 100. Font extra light gives it a font weight of 200. And as we go down in this list, the font weight increases. And what this does is makes it more bold. It makes the fonts thicker. So as you can see from the usage, if we go down to the usage, so this controls the font weight of an element using the font weight. So as the weight increases, it basically becomes more bold. To cover the line height, again this is very simple. As we increase the leading, the line height also increases. That's why, for example, if we're using this leading inside a paragraph and we have, like, for example, leading relaxed, then the spacing between the lines will be higher, so we would have more space between the lines. So the less space you want to use between the lines, then the less leading you use, and the less line height you will have. So as you can see, if we go down, we can see from the different leadings. So you have leading snug, leading normal, leading relaxed. As we go down, the leading increases, and then the more spacing there is between the lines. So that covers that covers everything for line height. Let's cover the style type for lists. So these group classes allow you to basically style the lists. So if we have list none, then what this does is basically it will remove the bullet points from the list. And as you can see over here, so if we want to have bullet points, then we can use list disk, and this will basically give us bullet points for each list item. And if we want to have numbers, then we will use list decimal, and that will give us like 1, 2, 3 for each list item. It will number it. Text alignment group of classes. These are very important because we use them a lot in the projects, and so let's cover this. So we have text left. That basically aligns the left from left to right. Aligns the text from left to right, and text center aligns the text center. Text right aligns it from right to left, and text justify, it basically makes it like into a block. So as you can see, if we go down to the examples, let's go to the examples and you will understand what I mean by text justify. So for text left, as you can see, the text is going from left to right, and center is being centered, and right is being aligned from right to left. And text justify, as you can see, it's a block, so it will cause spacing and everything in the lines, just so that it's basically has like a block structure, a square structure. So yeah. So now let's go through text color. Again, this is very important. We use this a lot in the projects. So we have text transparent to make the text transparent, and text current to give it the color, as you can see over here, the sort of like a light black, text black will basically make it black, and as you can see, each color would basically make the text that color, and the shade, as you increase the shade, then the darker the color will be. So as you can see, text gray 500, and then you have text gray 800. The text gray 800 is much darker than 500, as you can see. So that pretty much sums it up. Let's go down. So in terms of using these colors, it's simple. You just put in text, and then you put in the color you want, and then you can put in the shade of what you want, and to apply it. Let's go through text opacity. So the opacity, it's basically the higher the number. So the way you would use opacity is text, then you write opacity, and then you put in the number of opacity, the level of opacity. The higher the level of opacity, the more opaque it will be, and the less level of opacity, the more transparent it will be. If we go down to the examples, as you can see, we have these texts, and the first one has an opacity of 100, so it will be very opaque and it will not be transparent. And the last one has opacity of 0, and as you can see, it's looking quite transparent, so you would see the colors behind it, or if you have something behind it. Okay, that pretty much summarizes it. Cover text decoration. So we have these three classes: underline, line through, and no underline. So it's pretty much self-explanatory. So underline underlines it, as you can see from the example. Strike through basically crosses it out, and no underline removes the underline. So if you have a text that has underline and you write no underline, then it will remove the underline for you. Pretty much sums up the typography section. I hope everything is very clear. So that pretty much sums these classes up.